I cannot believe that it is almost 2023. Like, the past year has just went by so incredibly fast, and that's probably because it was jam-packed full of so many fun projects here on my channel. Well, before 2022 is over, I wanted to take a quick second and reflect and take a quick trip down memory lane on some of my favorite projects of the year as well as yours. So stay tuned and see if your favorites made the list. Let's kick it off with number 25 and stay tuned till the end so you can see what my number one project was for the whole year. Do you think you can guess it? Well, you're gonna have to stay tuned to find out.
So starting off strong at number 25 are my cardboard garlands. These are always a hit with you guys each season, and I think it's because they are easy to make and also they are really affordable. So grab yourself a cardboard box that you have lying around the house and cut out whatever shape you want. So I've done it for Valentine's Day, St. Patrick's Day here, and you can add some embellishments like this one for Valentine's Day with either a white paint pen, other color paint pens, or you can also do stickers. These are Dollar Tree stickers, and my St. Patrick's Day one was made from some glitter stickers, also from Dollar Tree. I also did a simple gingerbread one this year for Christmas, and I even used cardboard to make these 3D trees. And these markers were a top seller over on my Amazon store, so be sure to check the link in the description for all of my top selling craft projects of 2022. This next one is from a mystery box challenge earlier in the year, and I mixed a flour sack towel with one of these Dollar Tree stencils as well as their 3D fabric paint. I decided to use the stencil to do a sort of screen printing technique by taping it down and then dabbing some of that 3D fabric paint with a bristle brush. I just went up and down with dabbing motions, filled the entire thing, and then I was able to peel it off really easily, let it dry according to the instructions on the package, and then I ended up heat setting it after the 72 hours that it needed to sit. This is so pretty, and you would not guess it came from Dollar Tree. I loved this project. In my last Christmas video for 2022, I asked you guys what your favorite projects were, and so many of you chimed in and said my Hocus Pocus DIYs were some of your favorites. Now, these dolls, I cannot lie, are some of my favorite things that I have ever made. They were so fun for my watch party, and I did a big and small version, so if you want to see how to make those, I will link the video down below. I've got so many different projects in that video, including the spooky mirrors you see in the background, and they were pretty easy to put together. I used some foam pieces to make the bodies, and then I wrapped the hair with some yarn, and these things, honestly, I love them so much, and I was so glad you guys loved them too. So be sure to check out that video if you'd like some inspiration for 2023 Halloween. And I would be so remiss if I talked about movie-themed DIYs if I didn't mention my Griswold DIYs. Now, I've been doing these for years, and it is definitely a very niche video. I totally understand that. But some of you guys have bonded with me over the years of your love for the movie as well. So I absolutely love these projects. So many of you said that they were some of your favorites, and I love a good themed party or DIY project. So these little Clark and Eddie figurines I made this year have to be some of my favorites, and they were inspired from those Hocus Pocus dolls. So it all comes full circle. Earlier this year, I combined my love for high-end dupes as well as thrift flips into a video and decided to recreate this really expensive first aid container. So I found one of these Christmas tins that were square, and I ended up getting it for $1. I spray painted the entire thing with 3 light coats of matte white spray paint. And then after I added the lid, I just measured and cut out a decal that I found online. I just found one of these first aid images, imported it into Design Space, and cut it out on some black matte vinyl. It makes your first aid supplies really pretty to sit out in your bathroom. It looks really rustic and high-end, and I only paid $1 for it, which was awesome. So if you love this project and want to see more of those, I will link that video down below. Some of my highest viewed videos for the year were my Dollar Tree hacks videos, and this project came from both that as well as a thrift flipped video. So I wanted to make one of these cool concrete lamps, but I didn't want to pay $1 million for it. So I found this fun one at my local thrift store, and I took some gray acrylic paint and mixed it with that Dollar Tree baking soda until I got kind of a paste consistency like you're seeing here. I went through and did 3 thick coats around the outside of my lamp, let it dry, and when it did, I was able to seal it with some matte spray paint. It looked just like the concrete, but for much less.
Wanted to let you know about a really cool collab that I'm doing with one of my favorite brands, and I think you guys will be interested in it as well. This is the first time that I've done a big thing like this, and it is with Expressions Vinyl, which you guys know I talk about them all the time, so I am a huge fan of theirs. Well, they reached out and asked me to curate their January 2023 mystery vinyl project box. So basically, if you've ever wanted to get a mystery box from me, this is your chance. I've curated everything from the vinyl and the blanks in the box to designing 20 cut files you will also get with the box that are exclusive there, so you won't be able to get them on my channel. Check the link down in the description. There's more information on what it is. It is their subscription model, so if you do want to go ahead and sign up to get my box, you can always cancel before the next month, or if you love my box and you want to keep doing it, you can do that as well. Check it out down below if you want to get that box, and let's get back into the DIYs.
Coming in at number 19 is this Kirkland's artwork dupe that I did along with those other thrifted projects. And this was a huge winner with you guys. So many of you told me you did this project, and I love hearing that. So I went to the thrift store and I found a variety of frames that I thought would work for my space, and I started by dismantling them. I took out all of the framing items, any of the mats, and really anything that needed to come out so I could clean it. I got all of the icky, gooey stuff off of my glass, and then I printed out this really pretty image that I purchased from Etsy, which I will link down below. Once that was framed in there with the mat that I reused from the original piece, I filled the back with some additional foam board from Dollar Tree, and this was ready to go. This was such a beautiful piece, and it allowed us to stage our home earlier this year without having photos of our family, but it also made it just look homey and beautiful. These Dollar Tree arrow projects are a staple here at Whiskey and Wit. I love them so much, and if you're new to my channel or haven't caught any of my Dollar Tree blanks videos, I wanted to share it here so you could see how I make them over. I paint them with whatever color fits the season. These happen to be for fall, but then I have a ton, I am not kidding, a ton of free cut files that you can use for these arrows as well as the Dollar Tree wood arrows. You just cut them out and apply them to your arrow, and you've got some instant charm and fun for a vignette. On top of fall, I've got Halloween, St. Patrick's Day, different Valentine's Day options. I did some Easter, 4th of July, Christmas, so many options. So I will link down below to the post over on my blog that includes all of these files so you can get crafting in 2023. Another mystery box challenge favorite was when I took this wooden cutting board from Jennifer over at Little Bit of Calm and Crazy and my challenge item of some little kid snack cups. So I decided to add the Evil Queen's Apple Orchard on here because this was around fall and Halloween time, and I used some heat transfer vinyl to apply it to the wood because I wanted to use the sparkly heat transfer vinyl that I had for the Evil Queen's portion of the top. When that was done, I took some apples that I got from Amazon. I traced a evil apple shape, went over the top with my glue gun, and then I did the same thing with those little snack containers so that they would look like vials of the poison apple goo. To get that look, I mixed a little bit of this Arteza glittery shimmer paint along with some green acrylic paint, and I was able to mix that together and apply it in the areas where I wanted it inside of those hot glue marks. These turned out so cool. I just spray painted the snack containers with a black spray paint, covered that with a little bit more of the green paint, and then I also did some white apples as well. It was really fun to create this vignette in our front room at our new house, and it was just spooky enough but not too scary because I have a toddler. And speaking of my toddler, this next project is one I created for him. It was this Dollar Tree nightlight that I used to create a Bluey nightlight. So I searched for Bluey coloring pages on Google, and I uploaded that into Design Space. Then I went up to the crop tool up here at the top. I cropped Bluey here to get rid of any of the excess outside stuff. And then I went back to background remover and used the magic selector. Then you can go through and select any areas that you want to cut out. And then I used this hide cut image to make sure everything was good. Upload it as a cut image, and then you can cut it to the size. I used the iron-on cut setting just to make sure that all of my details stayed intact. I also did the same thing with Bingo. So here are the sizes for Bluey and Bingo for the respective nightlights. And easy enough, you can go ahead and apply them, do whatever color that you want. And these are super fun for your kids' favorite characters, and they don't cost a ton. This is another project from that Dollar Tree Blanks video that you guys loved so much. It did super well this year. I grabbed a jar to create a dog treat jar for Sebastian. I spray painted the lid a matte black, and then I went over the top with a clear spray paint just to seal it in. Then I went into Cricut Design Space and grabbed a bone that fit the size of the lid. I then typed out my dog's name, which is Sebastian, and I switched it to a white color just so I could see it on top of the bone. I selected both of them, made sure it was centered, and then I clicked slice down in the right-hand corner. Once it was sliced out, then I cut out some little paw prints as well and used my Expressions vinyl paper transfer tape that I love so much to apply his name to the top and the paws around the outside. I also added this really cute decal that was 3.5 inches wide that says "Ain't too proud to beg." That says "Ain't too proud to beg" because that is so true for Sebastian. And so many of you commented on this video, let me know what kind of dogs that you had and also that you plan to make this for them. As we head into a new year and ultimately spring will be coming back around even though it's freezing right now, I wanted to share one of my favorite porch signs I have ever made. This was a huge hit in my February of 2022 Cricut Projects video. So I ended up staining this wood. All of the pieces are under $20 that I was able to get from my local hardware store. I stained it in a briar smoke stain on the back, and then I also painted the front a black chalk paint to make it look kind of like a chalkboard. Now over in that video, I will walk you through the whole process of how to get the file that I provide into Design Space, how to cut it on stencil vinyl, apply it to your sign, and then stencil it so you don't get any bleeding. This is a little bit more of an explainer project that we don't have time to get deep into today, but this is a really fun project that even if you're a beginner, you could totally create. And I also show you how to do it if you don't have matless cutting so you can create a large stencil like that. This sign is huge and it is a big statement on the porch. I'm 5'11" and this is how tall it is next to me, so it is well over a 6-foot sign, which I love. I fell in love with these Pottery Barn brass candlesticks, but not the price. Even on sale, they were almost 60 bucks. So I headed to my local thrift store. I grabbed a variety of different candlesticks for $1, $2, just a couple bucks. And I brought them home and I used some rub and buff to really make them over. Now, if you can't find any of the metal ones, you can also grab a glass one and I will show you how to do it with that as well. So these metal ones, I used the rub and buff and I applied it around the outside. Once you apply it, it's kind of like a paint, but not really. It's hard to explain, but it's kind of like a gold leafing type thing. But once you apply it to your entire piece, you can rub it in with your finger to get rid of any weird chunky spots. And then if you have a glass piece, it's not going to stick to that, but what you can do is spray paint it with a dark color. Here I did like a dark grayish brownish color. And then it stuck really well, that rub and buff, to the spray paint. And as you distress it, you can see some of that color come through, which makes it look nice and antiqued. These are great with or without candles in them. It's a really beautiful setup, and it's so much cheaper than if you were to buy them from Pottery Barns or Kirkland's. Now, I kid you not when I say I fell over with how popular my fence picket videos were. You guys will have to let me know down in the comments if you made any of my fall or Christmas fence picket DIYs. I headed to Menards, which is my local home improvement store, in July to create a ton of Christmas projects because I like to do the woodworking when it is warmer outside rather than freezing here in Illinois. So my Project 11 are these wood skis that I made from that video. There were so many great projects, not just in this video, but in general for the year. So it was really hard to pick, but I decided that this one was one of my favorites. I grabbed these Gothic style fence pickets, I sanded them down, and I also rounded the top edge. I stained both of them with briar smoke stain, and then I used some painter's tape at the bottom to tape off just some simple stripes to give these a really non-Christmas look. Now, you could put red on there, but I wanted to be able to use them all winter long. So with the white stripes, I am able to do that. These turned out so good, and they were only a couple bucks to make. Same thing with all of these different items. They are all fence picket DIYs from that video. And one of my other favorites was this Coca-Cola crate that I created. Another one that you could easily use for the holidays, but then use well past that time as well. Just switch out whatever is on the inside. So if any of these pique your interest, be sure to check out that video. I will link it down below for you so you can check it out. Here's another hack that you guys loved this year, and that is this Mod Podge hack. So I grabbed some Dollar Tree tissue paper along with some wood pieces as well as some Mod Podge. I started by applying Mod Podge to my unfinished wood piece, and you can also do that on things like these little rolling pins, and the key is to let your Mod Podge dry fully. Then we're going to cut a piece of tissue paper, and you can also do things like scrapbook paper or fabric with this as well. Then I took my little Cricut Easy Press Mini and just applied some heat. I'm using medium heat, apply it till it re-engages that Mod Podge, and then scuff up the edges with some sandpaper, and it's going to give you a really clean edge. It's on there, no bubbles, super, super quick and easy, and I love how these turned out. You can also do it on a funky curved surface like I did with these watermelon rolling pins. This is a great hack for folks that don't have a ton of space or don't want to have a lot of different versions of things. I made this general welcome sign in a recent Cricut video, and I decided to add some Dollar Tree Velcro pieces along with some hot glue and some super glue to have it stick. Then all you need to do is attach the other piece of Velcro to a bow, and you can pop the bows on and off as needed. So maybe you've got an everyday bow, and then you can switch to a holiday bow or a fall bow. It is super easy to swap it out, and then all you have to do is keep your greenery and bows versus the sign. I have created a ton of different variations of round signs for this year. This Oh Hello There is from my Cricut blanks from May, which I will have all of the links to the original videos down below if you want to check it out more. We had some fun ones that we created together in my fall blanks video. And then this one I just love, Merry Christmas You Filthy Animal, with the trees in the leopard print at the bottom. I just love it, how it turned out. And then I also did a traditional Merry and Bright. So a ton of different options with these Dollar Tree wood rounds. You can also find them at Hobby Lobby and Michael's, even on Etsy. They are super popular, so you can get them pretty much anywhere. I love this hot glue hack because all you need is a silicone mold. I've done flowers and hearts and things for Christmas. You just need a silicone mold in whatever shape you want. Fill it up with some hot glue and tap it down. Let your hot glue cool off and harden, and then you've got a little shape that you can decorate as you want. I used my hobby knife just to get rid of any wispies, and then for this one I did Valentine's Day and made a bunch of different cute little conversation hearts to go on a tiered tray, just so it was a fake bake and I didn't have to worry about having food out. But I've done Griswold moose cup heads. I've also done these peppermints, so the sky's the limit. So I had a variety of different criteria for how to rank things on this list, and one of them being how well the supplies sold through my affiliate links, just so then I kind of know what you guys are buying and what supplies you have so that we can craft together. So for this bench, these legs were super popular, and I went with a 1x12x4, made sure there were no chunks out of it and no bowing, and then I brought it home to sand it down. Then on top of the sanding, I decided to curve the edges for my toddler so there weren't any sharp edges, and then I distressed it with a hammer. I decided to stain it in Early American Stain by Minwax, but you could do whatever kind of stain that you want, and if you don't like these marks in your wood once it's stained, then you can forego the step to distress it. Then I did 2 light coats, letting it dry in between, of a polyacrylic sealer, and then it was time to take my legs from Amazon and apply them to the bench. Now, if you want your bench to be a little bit thicker, you could do a 2x12 or a 2x10 piece of board, so just keep that in mind. I'm doing a 1x here. And then I'm just doing some really, really shallow pilot holes so I don't split the wood when I put these screws in. I started by using a hand screwdriver to put it in, but then I needed to grab my drill to help get it over the finish line. It's a nice area to decorate in your home, and it's not going to hold a ton of people on it. If you want to have it be stronger, do a 2-inch thick piece of wood, but it fit thin, and I'm using it for decor purposes. But I love it, and it was so much cheaper than the hundreds and hundreds of dollars Kirkland's wanted for something similar. This past fall, I decided to try to make some wood sign dupes with Dollar Tree supplies, and so I started with some Dollar Tree foam board. Now, I originally thought I could make this with some Dollar Tree wood, but they didn't have any pieces that were long enough, and it was actually cheaper to go to my local Home Depot and grab some 1x2x8 common boards. They're about $2.78 each, but with the amount of cuts you'll get out of one board, it's cheaper than Dollar Tree. I laid out my piece and figured out what size it needed to be in comparison to my Dollar Tree foam board. I marked and cut, and I used my little miter box, which is another big seller over on my Amazon storefront that you guys like to have. It's nice to have if you don't have a big saw. Then once I had my top and my bottom piece cut, I cut a piece to fit in between the two of them, and I did that for either side. and then I sanded and stained those pieces. Then I added my artwork. I did a fall one as well as a Halloween one, and I will direct you to that video so you can see how I put everything together. But then I just used a staple gun on the back to hook the foam board to the wood, and then an X-Acto knife to trim off any extra pieces. You would not guess that this was as cheap as it was. It was probably under $5 to put it together because you've got the piece of foam board and then one piece of wood gets you around the outside of the shape. I loved it so much that I did a Halloween version, and then I also experimented with different sizes for Christmas, like the square one, and then as well as the small Merry Christmas to all and to all a good night. And this is another one that is beginner friendly and you can do it without a ton of power tools. I grabbed one of these Dollar Tree wood rounds for Halloween and I put some wood filler into the holes because I wanted it to be a sign instead of a door hanger. Once those were dry and I sanded it off, I gave it 2 coats of white paint on my circle, and I wanted to make a man in the moon sign, and this was a hit. I have wanted one of these, but when you buy them from boutiques, they're pretty expensive. So I found a file online, kind of recreated my own version of it, and provided this as a free cut file over on my blog for you guys. I cut it out to the size of the circle, which was 11.5 inches wide, and then I kind of trimmed the pieces as I was weeding so I didn't lose any of the fine detail and have any of that extra vinyl kind of stick to it and pick it up. Then it was as easy as taking some of my paper transfer tape from Expressions Vinyl and applying it to the circle. And then I took a little back from an old picture frame that I wasn't using and glued that onto the back for a kickstand. This is such a beautiful piece for both harvest as well as Halloween. I had this up all season long and it was so beautiful, such a statement piece. All right, friends, we are getting to the home stretch, and this has to be one of my absolute favorites personally, my mugs that I made for everyone when we went on our YouTube trip in Denver. So if you're new to my channel, there's a group of us YouTubers that go on a trip every year, and as part of the trip, we bring each other gifts, whether that be handmade or just something we think everyone will like. Well, I decided to do these etched tumblers. I got these at Walmart. They're these stackable coffee mugs, and I applied a stencil of a design that I created in permanent vinyl. I applied it to the cups, and then I applied some of this Citrus Strip stripping gel. This was a huge thing that blew up on TikTok over the summertime, and I wanted to try it myself, and I thought these would be some fun gifts to give. I left it on there for about an hour, and I scraped up the pieces, and as you can see here, it was releasing, so it was time to clean. I used an old scrub brush, got off all of the citrus strip as well as the vinyl, with gloves on, of course, to be careful. And I also did this in my sink down in my laundry room, just so I'm not doing this in my nice sinks. Then I was able to get everything off of the cups and package them up with everybody's name on the back at the trip. It was such a fun time to spend time with everyone, and I did a full vlog in my Hocus Pocus video, so if you're interested in seeing what we were up to when we were in Denver in September, we had such a blast and it was so fun to see everyone. These Dollar Tree wood sign hacks are from my top viewed video of 2022, so it had to be in here. And it is these little quadrant organizers. So you can start with one and stain it and just have it be a sign because it will sit up on its own. I applied this decal, which is do more things that make you forget to check your phone, with some paper transfer tape. But then I also used some of these trays to make a wider sign. So I put 3 of them together, glued them and clamped them. This is just some Gorilla wood glue that I get at Walmart. You could also use some of this super glue gel that you can get at Dollar Tree. I clamped it together and then I stained the sign, and I was able to apply a larger decal on there. You have enough, you do enough, you are enough. But you could also do a stencil or even add a printable to it, whatever works. All right, we're closing in on the end here. So project number 2 is my fence picket videos in general. Those were some of the best performing videos on my channel, and that's what I use to gauge what you guys are interested in and what I should make more of. So one of the projects there were these pie slices, but the favorite had to be this haunted mansion sign. So many of you told me it was your favorite this year. I also made a Polar Express hanger for it, and I headed off to Home Depot to build the thing myself. So I used a variety of fence materials and posts and things to build it myself, and it's relatively inexpensive and relatively beginner friendly. Now this is another one of those projects where I want to give you all the steps, so you can head over to this video and check that all out. I will do the full rundown for you, show you how to put it together, and then how you can create the sign out of fence pickets. Then you just have to decide what you want to add to it. So because I made this for fall, I did the Haunted Mansion, but I also did a Polar Express one this year. And the hardware, I'll show you how to DIY it. And then I was able to just hang up my sign, and it was a really great staple for our home for the fall. Now, based on views, comments, and overall sales on the supplies over on my Amazon storefront, screen printing has to be the #1 thing this year. Now, I have a full video on screen printing and how to do the whole process with your Cricut, but this year I really had a field day with Dollar Tree supplies. So I was able to make a ton of different t-shirts and sweatshirts and tea towels, and I also made some hot pad holders. Just so many different things. It's so fun, so affordable when you use Dollar Tree supplies, and I was able to create so many items for both myself and for gifts. So if you are interested in this, like so many other Whiskey Craft Buddies were, be sure to check out the link below over to that DIY tutorial, and then I will also give you more information on the supplies I use, how to make the screens, how to clean them, so on and so forth. And we are not quite done yet because my favorite project is a little bit different than I think your guys' favorite project, but I did want to share it because this was such a labor of love this year. So Finn turned 2 back in March, and for his birthday party, we did a Cars themed party. So I decided to create one of these Mack trucks out of cardboard boxes that I got at the Home Depot. I have been so touched throughout the year to see so many of you create this for your kids' parties, and I'm so glad I was able to help because so much time I spent trying to track down a tutorial on how to make these Mack trucks that I saw on Pinterest, and no one really shared them. So I decided I was going to make my own and share it with everybody else so that you could do it for your kids as well. Finn had an absolute blast at his 2nd birthday party. It was such a fun prop. It was bigger than him, which he absolutely loved. And then we just used a red tablecloth on a table we already had to create the back of the truck because the cab was all ready to go. I love throwing themed parties like this. I've got a full playlist of different things, as well as his first Bluey birthday party. And now I am on to birthday party number 3.
Whew, what a year. I'm just incredibly thankful for the community that I have built here on YouTube, my Whiskey Craft Buddies. I just so enjoy getting to know you guys via the comments and on Instagram and just all the things. So please know from the bottom of my heart, I am so thankful that you are a Whiskey Craft Buddy. Now let me know down below, did you guess that that was going to be my #1? Let me know overall what was your favorite project that I did in 2022. And if you've got any suggestions for 2023. We're going to hit the ground running in January, but I always love to hear what you guys want to see. Do you want to see more Cricut stuff? Do you want to see more Dollar Tree stuff? Do you want to see more wood builds? Let me know down below, because at the end of the day, I want to make stuff that you guys want to watch because that's just great for everyone. So leave me a comment and let me know. Hit subscribe if you're new so you don't miss my 2023 content. And from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much for watching. I'll catch you in the next one. Bye!